We've got Hulk versus Doomsday. I'm gonna go with Doomsday. Not only do I like DC a bit more than Marvel, they're both great, don't get me wrong. But Doomsday's whole thing is that however he dies, he comes back, and he's immune to that way of dying. So like, Hulk's whole thing is brute strength, just punching, using physical force to kill someone. And I just don't think Doomsday is capable of dying that way anymore. I don't think he's capable of being beaten to death.
Into the episode, I have something very important to tell you. Our new game, Super Red Bulls, for value. Even click the link.
Pure, unadulterated rage. Usually, in a stressful situation, you'd want to avoid this sort of emotion in order to keep yourself focused.
Unless you're a giant rampaging pile of muscles, like these two.
Dr. Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk.
And Doomsday, the monster who killed Superman.
That's another thing. He's still the Incredible Hulk back, at this point. Nowadays, he's known as the Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk could probably kill Doomsday. Incredible Hulk probably is not winning this fight, though. He's gonna get overwhelmed and he's gonna die.
Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Within each of us, oft-times, there dwells a mighty and raging fury. And this suits no one better than the mild-mannered scientist, Bruce Banner.
'Cause when Bruce gets angry, oh boy, you wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Dr. Robert Bruce Banner may have grown up with few friends, but what he lacked in...
Alrighty, real name Robert Bruce Banner. Height 8'8" as the Hulk, 5'10" as Bruce Banner, 2,400 pounds as Hulk, and 128 pounds as Bruce Banner. Born in Dayton, Ohio. Graduated from Oxford University and likes dogs. Yeah, there was, oh my god, that fucking scene in the comics, man. I forget the exact context, but to calm down the Hulk, they airdropped a basket of puppies. And the dude got so happy he started playing with the puppies that he couldn't be angry anymore. He turned back into Bruce Banner. Oh, so this is another thing. I think this is back when Bruce, people thought Bruce and Hulk were the same person. But now we know they're not the same person. It's like a split personality. They're each their own guy.
Popularity, he made up tenfold with his intellect. However, in spite of his gifts, it was never enough to earn the respect and love of his father.
Partly because Bruce was so smart that his alcoholic dad literally thought he was a monster and expressed that to Bruce pretty thoroughly. God damn! How much distance do you think you got there, Wiz?
9, 10 feet.
Man, with an arm like that, he could really go places. Like the nut house after he murdered his wife right in front of Bruce. Aww.
Understandably traumatized, Bruce coped by creating an imaginary friend to talk to.
You know, I had an imaginary friend once.
You did? What was his name?
Dad.
Oof. Bruh.
Oh. Well, Bruce's friend served as an emotional outlet all the way through his college graduation. However, his advice to Bruce was oftentimes destructive.
So when the U.S. military recruited Bruce to make weapons, it was actually kind of fitting.
Bruce was tasked with developing a gamma bomb, which would use gamma radiation to target enemy weapons and buildings without endangering human lives.
Okay.
At least, that's what Bruce was told.
Surprise, surprise! Gamma radiation is actually pretty fucking harmful. And when it came time to test the bomb and some dumb kid decided to play his harmonica right in the test zone, Bruce asked his assistant to stop the countdown and dashed off to save him. But turns out his assistant was a Russian spy who set off the bomb anyway.
On
Yeah.
that strange day, Bruce's imaginary friend became a real-life terror as he transformed into the Incredible Hulk.
Really?
Yes, apparently. Ever since, whenever he's angry, Bruce's body and mind morphs into that of the Hulk's, granting him unmeasurable power.
While he loses Bruce's brain power, the Hulk is ridiculously strong. He can leap great distances, survive the harshest environments, and most importantly,
Incredible strength, enhanced durability, rapid healing factor, super speed, power increase via anger.
smash the crap out of everything with his bare fists.
He also knows a technique known as the Thunderclap, which creates
Yeah.
a shockwave that can deafen foes, level forests, and push back explosions.
As if he needed anything more than that, the Hulk has a healing factor that gives Wolverines a run for his money.
You're healing. You should be dead.
He's super strong and super hard to kill. What's not to like?
Well, there's one little detail that kind of ruins the whole experience. Bruce can't really control the Hulk. In
Yeah.
fact, the Hulk is his own being, and they both hate each other, vying
Yeah.
for dominance over Bruce's body.
Okay, see, that's also another common misconception. They don't really hate each other. They're just upset about the situation. You know, imagine if you had to share your body and mind with someone. You know, if constantly, day in and day out, you were either forced to the back of your mind or someone was trying to force you to the back of your mind. You know, I mean, unable to do anything but watch as whoever did whatever with your body. You know, I mean, that's what upsets them. But in the end, you know, Hulk does care about Banner. At least in some comics, because there's a comic, I think he's talking to Spider-Man, maybe? Spider-Man became, he got, like, infected with Gamma or something, and he became Spider-Hulk for a bit. And for the first time, he understood what it was like to be Bruce Banner, what it was like to have to deal with the Hulk all the time. And him and Banner bonded. And one of the things Bruce hated was that he was always alone when he turned and stuff. So Spider-Man stayed with him. And when he turned into Hulk, he didn't flip out and attack Spider-Man, try to rip him apart. He thanked Spider-Man. He told him, like, you know, you stayed with Bruce. Something I can't do. Thanks, man. You know, there's a couple other instances. I think there's one where they're like in hell together. And they have to work together, and they decide that like they come to like an understanding. But they don't hate each other. They wish they could both exist at the same time, but they can't.
And yet, Bruce and the Hulk are often reminded how much they depend on each other for survival.
Bruce figured if he was
The Hulk are often reminded
See, like right here. Saying they'll never leave each other and stuff.
how much they depend on each other for survival.
Bruce figured if he was stuck with his big green Goliath forever, he might as well try using it for good, eventually joining the Avengers, Defenders, the Fantastic Four, and even the Illuminati.
Hulk has held up a 150 billion ton mountain, escaped Earth's gravitational pull with a single jump.
And one time when a planet's tectonic plates started splitting apart, threatening to shatter the whole world, he just jumped right in there and pulled the planet back together.
The estimated average mass of a single lithospheric plate is nearly 45 quintillion tons, and the Hulk pulled two of these together with nothing but his bare hands.
And he's not just strong and
Pulled two of
I
these
love the
together with
explanation for
nothing
it.
but his
Too. Just he shifted the very plates. Of course he did. He's the fucking Hulk.
bare hands.
And he's not just strong and tough. He's more than twice as fast as a fighter.
Look at that Mach 5 speed. That's pretty good. Destroyed asteroid twice the size of Earth. Generated half his body in 18 minutes. Not bad. Pulled two continental plates together, created earthquakes with footsteps, destroyed a planet, escaped Earth's orbit in one jump, withstood Fin Fang Foom's fire breath. And see, he's strong, but that's it. Like, he's strong and he heals, okay? But his healing factor only applies when he's the Hulk and can be overtaxed. At least at this point in his comic career and stuff. And like I said, he's strong. Like, he pulled two tectonic plates back together. But Doomsday regularly fights against Superman. And we all saw how strong Superman is in Superman vs. Goku. And Superman vs. Goku Part 2. So, I feel like the fact that he can survive beatings from Superman and even beat and kill Superman in some instances, like, I don't think Doomsday's gonna lose. I think Doomsday's gonna be able to tank all the hits that Hulk can give him.
Jet, which puts him over Mach 5 speeds at least, and he can always go faster if he's pissed off enough.
This is because the Savage Hulk's strength is directly related to his anger. The angrier he gets, the more powerful he becomes.
Yeah.
In theory, this means his maximum level of strength is potentially infinite. And when he taps into that immeasurable rage to the fullest, he truly lives up to his name of Worldbreaker.
Bigger, stronger, and oozing with gamma radiation, the Worldbreaker Hulk is so powerful, with a single stomp he created earthquakes felt hundreds of miles away. In his battle with Sentry, basically Marvel Superman, they almost destroyed New York. And when battling another Worldbreaker Hulk, a single collision between them obliterated an entire planet.
Even the mutant Darwin's power, which specifically adapts to counter any enemy, decided that the best defense against the Hulk.
I love this book. Okay, for those who don't know, the Illuminati sent Hulk into space. Bunch of stuff happened. Got married, had kids. There was an explosion. His kids and wife died. He blamed the people who sent him into space in the first place, because it was like their ship that exploded. Regardless, he came back to Earth to get revenge on the Illuminati. Charles Xavier was part of the Illuminati. I don't know if Hulk knew that Charles wasn't there for the voting, but he basically came here to see what Charles would have voted. But because he showed up all pissed off and angry, the X-Men were like, oh shit, we gotta defend the fucking X-Mansion and Xavier and stuff. And they engaged in a fight. Hulk, first of all, beat the shit out of Wolverine. His healing didn't matter because he literally made his fucking brain rattle around inside of his skull to the point where Wolverine just passed the fuck out. But then Darwin, he comes up and he's like, alright, my ability makes it so I can adapt to any situation so that I can survive. First thing his powers did, I'm pretty sure that's what why his fingers look weird, is try to absorb all the gamma radiation from him. Turns out it's too much. Can't do it. It starts to like overload him. Hulk hits him. And then I see, poof. He literally, his body was like, alright, I can't drain this guy. I just felt his strength. And his powers were like, only way for you to survive this situation, for you to survive a fight with the Hulk, is for you to not be involved in a fight with the Hulk. And got him the fuck out of there.
Hulk was to be somewhere else.
Holy hell! Who could even stand up to this madness?
Not many, obviously. Typically, Bruce does his best to contain and limit the Hulk's power. In fact, Worldbreaker Hulk is a result of Bruce relinquishing that control entirely. In terms of combat, usually only cosmic beings like Silver Surfer or Zeus have the might to challenge the Hulk.
Oh yeah, like that one time Zeus hit him so hard, it burned out his healing factor.
But
Yeah.
even gods sometimes have to learn the hard way. You do not
I love this fucking scene. This is gonna be great.
But even gods sometimes have to learn the hard way. You do not mess with the Incredible Hulk.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny god.
What if all you had ever known was hatred and aggression, violence and pain? This life is reality for
YouTube comments, Doomsday. Yeah, the
YouTube comments too.
Doomsday guy.
Thousands of years ago, on an uninhabitable prehistoric planet which would one day be known.
Yeah, one day, yeah. Those that don't know, Doomsday grew up on primitive Krypton. Place was not a fun place. Classified, the ultimate life form, height 8'10", 914 pounds. Damn. Created through rapidly accelerated evolution. Once temporarily gained sentience. Even temporary, is he not sentient? As huggable as a cactus.
Known as Krypton, a scientist named Bertrand intended to engineer the ultimate life form.
Yep, it's another one of those stories, but with one hell of a twist.
See, at this time, Krypton was a harsh wasteland filled with nothing but sharp rocks, poisonous air, and violent predators.
Bertrand believed that if he could create something that could live through that, they could survive just about anywhere.
To realize this theory, Bertrand acquired an infant from somewhere, and through a rapidly accelerated evolution process, attempted to transform him into his dream creation.
Oh, don't try to dance around it, Wiz. Bertrand put that little sucker into a baby cannon, blasted him into the wild to get murdered by any number of things, sucked up what was left of him with a vacuum cleaner, and just cloned a new one out of the mess to do it all over again.
Well, yeah. The idea being each new clone would be stronger than the one before, thus covering millions of years of evolution. Each new clone would be
10 years later, the scene continues to play itself out. Each day a new infant is cloned from the preceding one, and subconsciously cast outside to die. If the indigenous creature did not tear the baby to shred, the planet's searing atmosphere burned his lungs out.
Stronger than the one before, thus covering millions of years of evolution.
He was mastering life's need to survive. At first the atmosphere and beast killed him in seconds. Eventually, it was minutes. 2 million years of evolution had been achieved in just 30 years of work.
In just a few decades.
That doesn't sound like...
Sorry, just... Really? You're speaking up after 30 years. I can't stand all this killing. 30 years you've been doing this. You had a problem, you either stopped it, you would have tried to stop it way before this. Or, you're just complaining to make it seem like you're more moral than the others.
Science!
No, it doesn't. So after 30 straight years of baby murder, one of the clones...
He does not breathe or eat. He has no internal organs, minimal fluids. He is almost solid throughout, nourished by solar energy. He can restore from nourished by solar energy that he can store for a millennium.
Finally survived the test. Amazed by his own success, Bertrand named this baby. The clones finally survived the test. Amazed by his own...
He can survive any environment, destroy any creature. Should the ultimate somehow find any creature stronger than him, and actually be killed, then he will come back to life, evolved into a superior being.
Own success, Bertrand named this baby the Ultimate.
The Ultimate Baby!
But to the rest of the universe, he was their Doomsday.
See, Wiz? Reloading as it is, patenting my baby cannon was a good idea.
Successful as Bertrand's experiment was, it was anything but a good idea. Turns out, while Doomsday usually appears to be a mindless beast, he remembered every single time Bertrand had him killed. As a result, Doomsday had been unintentionally programmed at a genetic level to hate everything that lives.
Bummer.
Great.
Needless to say, Bertrand was pretty screwed.
Because even with 30 years of development, Bertrand had never quite figured out what to do if his experiment actually worked. Because Bertrand is the worst.
I mean, he did do what he set out to do. He made an 8'10" monster that doesn't need to eat, breathe, or have internal organs to live. It just kills and kills and kills some more.
Doomsday possesses enormous strength, incredible durability, and
immense strength, superhuman durability, rapid healing factor, quickly adapts to his foe's attacks, and if killed, will revive, immune to the cause of death. Like, see, that's what I mean. I just don't think Hulk has any way to actually put Doomsday down for good, man. He doesn't have any way to disintegrate him. Or, like, all he can do is punch him just over and over again to hope that he dies. Which I don't think that can kill him. Even if it could, he would come back.
poisonous spikes which can extend. But due to Bertrand's experiments, Doomsday's greatest power of all is his ability to adapt to his opponent's powers.
After taking his sweet revenge, Doomsday stowed away on a supply ship and ravaged dozens of planets until he finally found himself on Earth.
On that day, Doomsday did the unthinkable. On that day, Doomsday killed Superman. Well, kind of. He actually put him into a super sleep. After several days, he kind of woke up more powerful.
Yeah, we all know, Wiz. At least Supes took Doomsday down with him. Or maybe not. Turns out, whenever Doomsday dies, he just comes back to life, forever immune to whatever killed him in the first place.
Can't beat me the same way twice.
He's been punched to death by Superman, blasted apart by the Radiant's energy, brutally ripped in half, incinerated by Imperiex, and just curb stomped by a Kryptonian horde.
Practically invulnerable at this point, Doomsday's taken on Darkseid, tanking his Omega beams and beating him to near death. He single-handedly defeated most of the Justice League and took on an energy attack that wiped out a fifth of a planet.
Yeah, see, that's where I think it's gonna come down to. Hulk he can't take people like Sentry or like Zeus and Hercules and stuff like that without like also getting reverted back to Banner. Meanwhile, Doomsday can take on people like Darkseid, which is like top of the top of DC bad guys.
Punch through the Phantom Zone, battle.
He survived Darkseid Omega Beams, battled Gog, don't know what that is, for 100 non-stop years, survived a 1 million nuke equivalent explosion, defeated the Justice League, can tunnel through the center of the Earth, defeated the Green Lanterns and Darkseid, and they're saying even more shit that's not listed here, so hold on.
That wiped out a fifth of a planet. Most of the Justice League Omega beams and practically invulnerable at this point, Doomsday's taken on Darkseid, tanking his Omega beams and beating him to near death. He single-handedly defeated most of the Justice League and took on an energy attack that wiped out a fifth of a planet.
He's punched through the Phantom Zone, battled super beings called Gogs for a century, and even broken Wonder Woman's arms. Arms strong enough to help pull the Earth.
And during his rematch with the Man of Steel, after witnessing Doomsday survive an explosion equivalent to 1 million nukes, Superman realized that the only way to stop him was to send him to the end of time.
At his most powerful, Doomsday's mere presence can boil the ocean and disintegrate buildings. A casual stroll across Africa made wildebeest an endangered species just by walking around. But what he's got in strength, he really lacks in brains.
Not that he's dumb, he just literally lacks a brain. More often than not, Doomsday is little more than a one-track mind-killing machine. This makes his intentions predictable, and a clever opponent could use this to, say, lead him into a trap. And should that foe come up with a new way to hurt Doomsday, he could be killed.
Still, that's gonna be pretty goddamn hard to do.
Yeah. Oh. Damn. Giving him the fucking hand.
All right, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
But first, we'll...
So it's Harry's this time.
Hulk smash ugly vehicles!
Yeah. This one's going to be brutal hand-to-hand combat the whole time. So get ready for a fucking slugfest. Oh, nice.
Hulk hate you! Hulk hates spiky beard!
Worldbreaker?
You break buildings good, but Hulk break walls!
Hell yeah. And don't forget that shit, these things are on his fucking, they stabbing him with, that's all poisonous. Damn. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying, that a mortal, I don't think he could win this, but a mortal Hulk could kill Doomsday. Because that wouldn't have killed a mortal Hulk. He would have still been able to survive. As, like, just a head and shit.
Oh, that was beautiful!
With the Hulk's immeasurable power and Doomsday's impossible immortality, this truly felt like a fight between an unstoppable force and an immovable object.
Hulk may have had the advantage in raw strength, at least at his full potential, but Doomsday could certainly hold his ground. His victories against the likes of Superman and Darkseid prove he can take a hit from someone strong enough to break planets.
And by experience, Doomsday had the speed advantage. He regularly fights foes with light speed capabilities, while that kind of speed is an extreme rarity in the Marvel Universe. In fact, the only foe that fast who Hulk's ever seemed to keep pace with in a one-on-one match was Sentry, and that was when he was at his most powerful stage, Worldbreaker Hulk.
So overall, Hulk had strength and Doomsday had speed, but neither completely outclassed the other. At first glance, this one looked like it could go either way.
Which means the devil's in the very tiny details.
So why couldn't the Hulk's infinite strength just keep rising and eventually overwhelm Doomsday?
Well, even assuming Hulk's strength was infinite, his healing factor was not. Don't get me wrong, it can only be overtaxed by hits from absurdly powerful beings such as Zeus or Sentry, whom Doomsday certainly compares.
Naturally, Doomsday's crazy strength and speed started wearing that healing factor down.
Here's where it gets a bit tricky. The Hulk may look like a giant green monster, but he's still technically human, and his power directly correlates with his anger. A human being's anger stems from an increase in hormones and adrenaline in the body. However, the brain can only produce these chemicals at such a rate for a limited time, eventually giving up and turning apathetic. Therefore, Hulk's limitless power could never have existed without his healing factor. It's the key. It allowed his body to continue producing hormones and adrenaline far beyond the norm, theoretically an endless supply, thus increasing his superhuman power to an immeasurable degree. So, Doomsday overtaxing his healing factor meant the Hulk could no longer maintain his increasing rage and Hulk form.
And if you're still skeptical, that's why there's a bunch of times in comics when a huge impact forced the Hulk to turn back into Bruce Banner, including that battle between Worldbreaker Hulk and Sentry. With his healing power beaten down, he literally couldn't keep himself angry enough to stay in.
And see, that's what I was saying. I'm pretty sure he turns back into Hulk after this. But that's what I was saying. It's like when he fights people like this, like Zeus and Hercules and Sentry and Thanos, he usually ends up getting knocked back into Banner at some point. Because he takes so much damage. Like I said, nowadays, current comic book Hulk, he could beat Doomsday, I guarantee it. But back when this was released in fucking when this was released 9 years ago, like he didn't have the strength and shit to win this.
In Hulk mode.
I love science, but there's still one more thing. Thanks to his battles with Superman and other Kryptonians, Doomsday has evolved to a point where it's basically impossible to kill him with brute force alone.
So Hulk couldn't have killed him by just getting angry enough to punch harder than Doomsday ever felt.
Precisely. Here's the proof. Superman and Doomsday eventually had a rematch, in which Superman was much more powerful than their first battle. As we discussed before, Superman's power is also potentially limitless by way of continually absorbing solar energy. And at this point in his story, he'd begun to discover that.
But try as he might, despite his increased power, Supes couldn't kill Doomsday with blunt force a second time.
Ultimately, Doomsday's immunity to being ripped, impaled, incinerated, blasted with energy, and being beaten by blunt force from both focused and multiple sources means Hulk just didn't have the options available to take Doomsday out before his healing factor was overtaxed.
On this day, Hulk met his doom. Doomsday.
The winner is Doomsday.